What's up, everybody? Welcome in to another edition of Bets and Ball Games with Edwards and Greeson, hosted by our good friends here at Southeastern 14 and our good friends at Bet Online. Let's tell you a little bit about them right now, as Bet Online remains your top spot for all your live betting action and contest, NFL, college football, UFC, and NHL. Bet Online is your number one source for wagering news, odds, trends, and predictions. All the hoops betting action, along with every sport available at your fingertips with both desktop and mobile access at any time. Head to Bet Online today and remember to use our promo code BELIEVE. That's all caps BLEAV. Again, all caps BLEAV. That's our promo code for your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Bet Online, where the game starts. Let's start with my man Jay Greeson at the Chattanooga Times Free Press. What's going on, brother?
Not much, my good friend. Wonderful weekend in terms of the NFL, and I was watching the nightcap game with a guy who grew up in Michigan, who is the biggest Lions fan I know. And at one point in the third quarter, he looked up and said, and this is so poetic, and it's going to revert back to you and me before we get into SEC basketball. He goes, the Lions are going to play like Lions until they start playing like Lions. And then he said, you have no idea what this is like. And I paused and I said, 28-3, mother bleeper, 28-3. So Falcons fans, Lions fans, unite. I mean, we're all here together. We get this. I mean,
what was it at halftime? 24-7? 24-7 at half?
It was 24-7 at half. Could have been 27-10 if Dan Campbell decides not to show everybody on the planet how big his nuts are and just go, ooh, look how big I got them. I got them everywhere. I got to have a wheelbarrow in front of me to walk up and down the sideline.
In his defense, Josh Reynolds has to catch that ball.
He has to catch the ball. You got
to catch that ball, Josh Reynolds. You have to.
But if you're gonna put your genitalia on the table for 60 million people to see, don't you go for the touchdown at the end of the first half?
I was proud of him for kicking the field goal there. I was like, you got to take the 3-possession lead here. You got to.
So then you go back to a 3-possession lead.
Yeah, but their kicker's not automatic.
I really do. And Dan Campbell's going to be right there on the short list of Coach of the Year for being Dan Campbell. I'm not bagging on any of it. And dude's got to catch the football. Dude has to catch the football.
Yeah. No doubt. And we'll peek ahead at next week's Super Bowl here in a little bit, but let's get going with some SEC hoops, and we're going to start actually before noon local time in Red Stick tomorrow, as LSU is hosting Arkansas again, noon Eastern, 11 a.m. Central, and I wrote down LSU -4, and I see Ken Palm has got them -6 with a total of 150. Now Arkansas finally got a win to snap out of this SEC funk at Missouri last week, even without Trevin Brazile playing, and he is questionable tomorrow. He averages 8.9 points, 6.5 rebounds, 1.3 block shots per game, leading rebounder, leading shot blocker, third leading scorer for the Hogs. And LSU 8-3 straight up, 4-7 ATS at home, and Arkansas 1-3 straight up in ATS on the road. But I think Arkansas might have found a little something in playing Kentucky tough. And winning at Mizzou. I know Mizzou's still over in the SEC. If it's really 6, like Ken Palm is suggesting, I'm going to lean to Arkansas there. I know you've been down on Arkansas. I think we all have. And if they get Brazile back tomorrow, that would be big. Any thoughts here? LSU maybe -6 and 150-ish on the total.
Couple of thoughts. First, big picture. Been a surprising week to 10 days of road teams having a whole lot of success. And I know we'll talk about these various teams, but South Carolina going to Knoxville and winning. Florida going to Rupp and winning. But in truth, the Arkansas at Red Stick, Arkansas LSU game is the Dukes Mayo disappointing bowl. I mean, both of those teams, we're going to look up and they're going to be like 5 guys in this game in the league on TNT that Barkley's talking about in 2 years. And none of them are going to make the tournament because, I mean, Musselman, overrated?
I just don't. Arkansas struggled for so many decades, and he's gotten them to the second weekend. 3 years in a row? I think one off year. I don't think we can. I don't think we can do that. And he got Nevada to a Sweet 16 as well before coming to the Ozarks. So I can't go there. Maybe this year.
I don't like this game because there's nothing trustworthy on either one of these teams. Right. If what you said, the Ken Palm number, if it gets to 6 or north of 6. I would lean Hogs like you do, but I mean, I don't feel comfortable putting any stock in either one of these bunches.
No, I hear that. So if it's a legit 6, Jay slightly leans that way. If it's a legit 6 and they get their big man back, then I'll be on Arkansas. Not implying a huge play because, like Jay says, these aren't teams you want to invest and trust a whole lot. So South Carolina at Georgia. So this is a very interesting game because Georgia's off 2 big-time heartbreakers. They rally from 21 down. They force overtime in Gainesville last Saturday and end up covering for me. That game worked out perfect for me. The Gators won outright, and I had money on Georgia and also bet them a little bit live, catching double digits. Georgia is 11-2 straight up at home, only 5-7-1 against the spread, but their first home loss, Tennessee, they had like was it like 11-point lead with 7 minutes left? Against Alabama, they're ahead double digits most of the first 32-ish minutes, somewhere in there. I think Bama got their first lead about 5 minutes left. So just heartbreakers at home for Georgia. So I wrote down 3 if their guard Justin Moore is wait, did I? Hold on one second. Well, anyway, he didn't play the other night, did he? Hold on, I'm looking at the box score. He's not listed on the injury report now. All right. Anyhow, I think they are going to have their guard back, who was missing in action the other night. But anywho, Ken Palm's got Georgia at -1 and 137. Now, South Carolina, I mean, do you think this qualifies as a letdown situation? But regardless of that, South Carolina, one of the best ATS teams in the country, 16-5, and they've only lost 3 games, 18-3 straight up. Lamont Paris, you are familiar with him. You spent time with him. He was the former coach of the Mocs up in Chattanooga. Floor's yours.
Well, one, Lamont Paris is a wonderful human being, And his ability to turn South Carolina around is kind of hinged on going and getting maybe – I know everybody talks about Dalton Knecht in Knoxville as the biggest transfer in the SEC. BJ Mack is a mother. I mean – BJ Mack came from the SoCon, the Southern Conference, and Lamont Paris brought him with him. South Carolina's tough. He is a great dude, and I am happy for all his success. This is a wonderful spot to back the Georgia Bulldogs.
I think so.
I know you you referenced that they've been indifferent at home, but since December 5th, looking back at Vegas Insider, they're like 12-3-1 against the number overall, home or road, talking about Georgia. So
Yeah.
you're talking about two teams that Vegas has undervalued. And I actually now think you're about to get about a week or two of the national narrative going to South Carolina where they're going to be overvalued. You know, you've been around this long enough that you ride the waves of, think about when we got on the tide of Syracuse early in Dino Babers' conversation.
Dino and Dungy.
Yes. And they covered every week. And then you looked up and Vegas caught up with it. And next thing you know, you're going, how is Syracuse favored by 6 over at Miami? And
Right.
you're going, because Vegas doesn't want anybody else betting on Syracuse anymore.
Mm-hmm.
South Carolina's about to be the threshold after what happened the other night in Knoxville.
I mean, they went as 14-point underdogs. That was not on my radar. I mean, I thought they could cover, but I didn't even take them plus 14. Did Jay's plays have the Gamecocks plus that big number?
No. Jay's plays, my afternoon email, whiffed on that mightily. Also whiffed on your Gators. I had Kentucky laying the number.
I had Kentucky. That was actually my only loss that night, and I got really cute and snuck in a Boise State plus 500 on the money line. That really helped my record on Vegas Insider. Also had them plus 11. My personal money line number was only 420, which I was a little disappointed in. But okay, I agree. I think it's Georgia or pass. And I was thinking it'd be 3. And by the way, I made a horrible mistake leading into talking about this game. I said Justin Moore. I meant Justin Hill, and he was questionable to play, and he actually did play. So my apologies, y'all, as I'm sure Georgia fans listening were like, what in the hell is that knucklehead even talking about?
Hey, on a side note, and this is kind of a Georgia tangent. If the new regime down there goes and only gets 1 out of every 3 basketball players out of the ATL,
they'll be just fine.
Hey, Georgia will be UNC sooner rather than later.
Doesn't he already have a 5-star committed for next year?
Yes, he does.
I thought so. Mike White, he can recruit, man.
And you know what it's going to really hurt is my boys, the Auburn Tigers, because Pearl's been killing Atlanta.
Yeah.
Jabari Smith was from Atlanta.
Yes.
Sharif Cooper was from Atlanta. A couple of those kids were from Pebblebrook. I mean, in Mapleton, outside of Atlanta. I mean, if Mike White can just pick 1 out of every 3 out of the ATL, Georgia's going to be a monster in hoops.
Yeah, I thought it was a good hire, and it's completely working out so far. And look, if they just hold on to one of those quad 1 wins, whether it was Tennessee or Bama at home, they'd be in great shape. And by the way, Lunardi, not that he's the end-all be-all in the bracketology world, but he's got Florida as the last team or the first team that's out of his first 4. He's got A&M. Huh?
I mean, you go to Rupp and win. That's crap.
I agree. And he's got Mississippi State as a 9 seed. Florida has a better record than Mississippi State overall. And in SEC, and beat them outright. And Mississippi State has a quad 4 loss. So I agree there. But I don't think the rest of the bracket. I think most of the other bracket folks have the Gators slightly on the correct side of the bubble. And Georgia is not in his next 4 out, but I know they were the other day. So they're still, I mean, it's the SEC. You got quad 1 opportunities galore left. So Georgia is still in the mix. And, if Florida is
the other thing that's really confusing about this, Brian, is Georgia may have a couple of quad one wins on their resume that they don't know about yet.
Sure, because
a couple of things can happen, and the rotation and the numbers can change. Where you look up and okay, now they've got 3 quad one wins.
Right. Yes, exactly. And hey, well, I don't know if South Carolina at home would be a quad one win. I still haven't figured out how it all works.
Well, the what I heard the other night, listening and watching college basketball, a top 50 net team at home, top 50 at home,
top 70 on the road,
top 75,
75
in a road game is. So, I mean, if South Carolina is not a top 50 or 75 team at 18-3 playing,
right?
I mean, at this point in time, somebody's going to need to explain to me what the definitions and the variables are, because you're 18-3 playing in this league, and one of their losses is not. I mean, yes, they played a whole bunch of the Sisters of the Poor, as Spurrier used to say, and that's fine, well, and good in the non-con. But one of their 3 losses is I think on the road at Clemson, right?
Yeah. Here, I got them right here. So they lost at Clemson by 5. They lost at Alabama, which I believe they had a 1-point lead at halftime. Now it turned into a blowout.
That's going to have to be on the road. That would be a quad one loss. We probably should be talking about quad one losses as much as we talk about quad one wins.
Yeah, Florida's only losses are quad one losses now, and they only have 1 quad one win, but they're undefeated in quad 2, 3, and 4. And I forgot to mention this. Shame on me yet again. This is a revenge game for the Gamecocks. Georgia won 74-69 at South Carolina on January 16th. So I don't know if that maybe
made a mortgage payment on that one, by the way.
You had Georgia. What they catch you?
I needed that one.
Okay, they were probably catching like 6 or 7, maybe 5 or 6, somewhere in there. Good on you. Okay, so so South Carolina comes to Athens, 4-game winning streak. We'll see what this line is. I'm thinking Georgia a very, very short favorite. The revenge factor, that's not talking me out of Georgia. My lean is still Georgia. My lean's Georgia. A little bit of a letdown. Well, maybe the revenge angle negates the letdown scenario for South Carolina off the monster win at Tennessee. So we shall see. I think Jay and I are definitely leans to the Georgia side. However, all right, we're going to skip Mizzou at Vandy, and we may come back to it, time permitting. Let's go to Florida at
fans and Vandy fans are skipping Mizzou at Vandy.
Yeah. They're skipping Southeastern 14 YouTube basketball videos.
Is Mizzou and Vandy fans even looking at the Southeastern 14 recruiting rankings? I mean, what are you excited about right now? Vandy baseball? I mean, Vandy women's bowling?
Hey, one of them gets their first SEC win of the year in February, though, because they're both bagel. They're both bagel for SEC.
You're about to force me to lay down and take a nap. Because I'm an Auburn graduate, I watched a whole bunch of
Vandy.
Oh, man. Woo. Also made money on Auburn at home is print the ticket. Auburn at home is a different animal.
Yes. Oh, actually. Oh, go ahead. Let's go to Florida A&M next. Then we'll get to Auburn.
Yes. Okay.
Okay. So at 4 Eastern, we got Florida at A&M. So the Gators have now won 4 in a row, and they are 2-3 both straight up and against the spread on the road. A&M is 7-3 straight up at home, but 3-7 ATS at home. Now, A&M has won 4 in a row over the Gators, but they've only won those 4 games by 9 combined points. I wrote down A&M minus 3.5, kind of like the South Carolina situation. I feel like Florida's in a little bit of a letdown scenario here. Now, they shouldn't be because they're still very much on the bubble. But so I wrote down A&M 3.5. Ken Palm is looking like A&M minus 2 with a total of 154. I'm thinking pass here, or maybe like just look to bet it live. Yeah, I just think it's a coin flip game. Any thoughts here, Jay?
Well, I tell you what I do like. I love the momentum that your Gators have and the belief they are playing with. And I'll go a step further. And this is not a shot at Florida per se, but it's kind of like one of the things I look at in terms of college basketball as somebody who tries to handicap these games on a daily basis. Florida is not going to get the student. Florida coming to College Station is not going to get the students fired up like Kentucky coming, or Bruce Pearl coming, or number 6 Tennessee coming, or some of those that then game day checks in live. And I mean, this is going to be, yes, it's a road game. It's a tough as hell trip. I mean, going to College Station, I mean, dear Lord, man, Magellan had easier travels than going to College Station, Texas. Yeah. But I don't think it's going to be my strong lean here. One of my plays is actually probably going to be Florida, because I think this is a team that's hungry and wants to add to the resume.
I hope you're right. It'll probably be a pass for me. A&M is 5-7 against Ken Palm top 100 teams. Florida is 7-6. All right, let's go to Jay's alma mater. 6 p.m. Eastern tip. Auburn at Ole Miss. Ole Miss undefeated at home. 18-3 straight up overall. 12-9 ATS overall. They're 8-5 against the spread at home. Auburn 17-4 straight up overall, 13-6-2 against the spread, but Auburn only 2-3 straight up, 2-1 ATS on the road. So I was thinking pick 'em, because I mean Ole Miss is not been beaten at home, but Ken Palm's got Auburn -6 and 150. If that's the case, I will be all over the Rebels. Is this a spot where you're not trusting Auburn on the road and certainly not wanting to lay 6, or are you thinking, y'all got the mojo back against Vandy? You're going to go get a road win?
No, you're 100% right. Your inclination, both. If it's 6 and you can get Ole Miss at like plus 190 or plus 200 on the money line, I mean, I think this is a great spot for Auburn. Has punched its NCAA ticket. So some of these February games, and I'm not poo-pooing that, and I'm not saying this team is not good. I think Auburn, Kentucky, and Tennessee all are Elite 8 caliber basketball teams. But this is think about how much Ole Miss has talked about. This is a resume punching win. Yeah. This is, you said it's a 6 o'clock game in Oxford. That place is going to be bonkers.
Maybe one of their best crowds they had since how long they had this new arena? Like 4 years, 5 years, maybe? Something like that.
And that, yes, that works in both directions. But there are only a few programs. If you go to Kansas, if you go to Kentucky, if you go to Duke, if you go to some of those schools, you're used to walking into the opposing venue with the X on your chest and being the hated person. I'm not certain Dylan Cardwell is not going to be the guy who's ready to handle that in Oxford, Mississippi, with a completely sold out gym on the road. No, if it's at 6, my F-150 may be on the Rebels, and I'm an Auburn graduate.
Yeah, I and also now I don't know. It's revenge mode for Ole Miss because Auburn beat the mud out of them on the Plains, 82-59, 3 weeks ago tomorrow. But Ole Miss has won 3 in a row since then, and
Auburn's a different kettle of fish down there now. No kidding. You go to the 3-3-4, and Auburn is a monster. Yep. But we've seen Auburn now be
ordinary on the road.
Yeah, absolutely. Ordinary is a great word for it.
Yeah, I like Ole Miss. I hope they're. I don't think Auburn's going to be 6-point favorite. I hope they are.
This is going to be one of those sneaky lines that a whole lot of people are going to look up and go,
huh?
Auburn's number 11 in the country. How are they only favored by 1 point at Ole Miss? And then Ole Miss is going to win by 8.
Yeah, but I hope we're getting points, and I like the money line idea. If it's a number like a plus 180 or even better, that would be good. All right, so 2 more games left. They're both at 8:30 Eastern. Mississippi State at Alabama. Mississippi State still has not won a road game or covered on the road. 0-5 both straight up and against the spread on the road. Alabama's nasty at home, 10-1 straight up, 8-2-1 against the spread. In Alabama, let me also throw out FanDuel's got odds for who wins the SEC regular season title, and Bama, which by the way is at 7-1 and leads the SEC right now. They're the plus 185 favorite. Auburn, the next shortest odds at plus 210, along with the Vols, also plus 210. But then from there, it's long shots. Kentucky 16-1, South Carolina 22-1. Gators 29-1, Ole Miss 80-1, A&M 110-1, and LSU, Mississippi State, Georgia 250-1. Vandy and Missouri not pictured. I wrote down Alabama minus 8.5. KenPom has got Alabama minus 9 with a total of 157. I love Alabama in a money line parlay.
You read my mind. You read my thought bubble right there, Brian. Like if you wanna find some SEC teasers this weekend or a parlay of a handful of games that can get your odds close to even money, but 9 is a snot-nosed lot of points for a Mississippi State team. And yes, they've been bad on the road, and Alabama's going to run. And that does not play into Mississippi State. If you're going to play a side and you want to lay numbers, I go Alabama here just because their style and being at home is going to trump Mississippi State's what they want to do and being grinded out and guard and get the ball inside. But the first thing I thought of was what you said of finding a money line parlay or a teaser or something that can get this. I think Alabama wins,
right?
But do I expect Mississippi State to? Mississippi State's fighting for their postseason life right now.
Yeah, and hey, I remember this game specifically last year because I guess I laid the points, or either I had the over or Alabama's team total over. I remember I was pissed the whole game. So Mississippi State went to Tuscaloosa last year as a 12-point underdog. And I remember they were winning outright most of the game. Alabama rallied and won 66-63, but Mississippi State did play tough at this arena last year. And just some other head-to-head rivalry stats here. Alabama's won 5 in a row and 8 of the last 9 over the Bulldogs. But actually, Mississippi State is actually 5-4-1 ATS in the last 10. So it's been a close games for the most part. Yeah, I'm with you. Moneyline parlay, and we can find other teams, not necessarily in the SEC, but out of all the games tomorrow. And I would be okay with Bama in a money line parlay. I don't think I want to lay 9, especially thinking back to that game last year. Same
I
page?
completely agree, and now needs to be the time that I say that Alabama is 100% fun to watch, but I do not want Nate Oates watching my children because can we just go ahead and put that on the record? I mean, I'm not hey, I'm happy to hire him to coach my basketball team, but I don't want that some bitch coaching or looking after my kids. You know what I'm saying?
All right. So the marquee game. We saved the best for last. Vols at Kentucky. They both fall victim to a look-ahead spot to each other and both lose outright at home. Now, a couple of injuries. So Kentucky was shorthanded the other night. Milt Wagner's grandson. How old does that make you feel?
Oh, God.
Milt Wagner's grandson.
Not only does that make me feel old, but Milt Wagner was the next wave of Louisville players after like Dr. Duncanstein and those guys.
Yeah.
I mean, he was like the mid 80s and the early 80s version. Milt Wagner was like the transition to Never Nervous Purvis. I mean, and now his grandson is a mother. I mean, there's a lot to digest here. In this game.
Yeah, so Wagner's questionable with an ankle, missed the Florida game. He averages 12 points, 3.7 assists, 1.1 steals. Justin Edwards, not as big of a part, but a key rotation player. He's questionable with a knee, missed the Florida game, averages 7.7 points, 3.7 rebounds. Okay, couple of stats before we discuss this one. The over is on a 15-3 run for Kentucky. Kentucky, 13 home games, 11-2 straight up, 7-6 ATS. The Vols, 5 road games, 3-2 straight up, 1-4 against the spread on the road. They're both in bounce back mode. Okay, I wrote down Kentucky minus 3.5, but I wasn't considering the Wagner and Edwards injuries. When I was writing the numbers down, I'd forgotten about it. So with that in mind, I'm more like Kentucky 1.5 or 2. But KenPom has got the Vols listed as 2-point favorites, total 158. Kentucky swept the season series last year. What you thinking on this?
All right, one, if Kentucky's getting points, you got to play the blue. You got to play the blue. It's the only side to back.
Especially
my favorite bet, maybe of the entire SEC Saturday, is over this number for 2 reasons. One, Kentucky offensively is elite. Elite. They shoot it. They're better than – they're top 5 nationally in 3-point percentage, which makes of them, of course, top 10 nationally in what is it called? Like true field goal.
So I'm looking at KenPom. Yeah. Their effective field goal percentage is 12th nationally. Their turnover percentage, or lack thereof, is 3rd.
Right.
6th,
they are 6th. Elite nationally. And I know Tennessee prides itself on defense, but all this week, we've had multiple stories in the Times Free Press here in Chattanooga, Tennessee, about Rick Barnes imploring his team that they've got to have more offensive options than Dalton Connect. And so I think a whole lot of everybody in orange, not named Dalton, is going to try to look to score. This game's going to be fast. This game's going to go over. You saying this was a look-ahead game for both teams, spot on. I mean, both of them thought they were going to waltz it home against teams they didn't maybe – and it does scare me a little bit on picking a side here because I think Kentucky's better 1 through 7 than Tennessee, truly, but not without Milt Wagner's grandson.
Right.
And you want to talk about feeling old, brother? How about this? Before I came to work with you at the Marietta Daily Journal 25 years ago, I covered Jeff Shepard in
At
high
Peachtree
school
City?
at McIntosh
Okay.
before, and now his son is a dude at
Yes, he
Kentucky.
is. Very good. He's very good. And his mom played at Kentucky as well. And yes, he can play, but he made a freshman mistake losing track of Clayton on that last possession the other day. Which
You've got a nice glow about you with the way Florida's playing, and you won money, and you still your team won, and I mean
hey,
you
I haven't
got
had
no
much glow lately.
Yeah,
I haven't had much glow. In fact, I was thinking the other night or even yesterday morning, that was the only significant win since we beat the Vols in
Yeah.
football
You
in
know what I'm going to say right
September.
now, Billy
What?
Napier? How about that?
Yeah, my glow will disappear. My glow will disappear rapidly. Okay, so in review, Jay and I like the Cats, especially if Wagner is upgraded. You sound like you like over
I
158.
like the over more than the over's
Okay.
on the short list of my best bets tomorrow for
Okay.
the SEC, and it'll be in Jay's plays. My weekday email kind of picks column.
That everybody needs to sign up for at the Chattanooga Times Free Press.
You can do that right there at timesfreepress.com.
Yes. Okay. I wanted to mention one thing on Vandy. They have seen the under cash in 5 straight, and the under's on a 12-2 run for them. So Ken Palm's got that total 138 for the Missouri game tomorrow. So maybe give that a little thought. I'm just throwing the stat out. So me and Jay are definitely leans to Georgia. If Arkansas is catching as many as 6 and Trevin Brazil is back, I'm definitely Arkansas. I feel like Jay was a lean that way. I mean, not as in an exciting way like you were with Kentucky and the over. All that we all correct. We both like Ole Miss. But we like Bama in a money line parlay, but don't really want to lay the points. You were a lean to the Gators, especially if they're getting a couple points. Correct.
Correct.
That one's a pass for me. Yeah. Okay. So do you got any opening thoughts on the Super Bowl?
And we're both, and you may have said it, but we're both on the Rebels, right?
Yes, we both like Ole Miss. Like I said, I made it pick them, and I like them to win outright. And if we're getting points, even better. And if we can get a money line like a plus 170 number or better, that would be wonderful. Okay.
Yeah, 6 o'clock game down there. I mean, that place is good. That place is going to be raucous.
It'll be one of their best crowds ever. Yeah, I mean Chris Beard's legit, man, and I think they're excited about it up there. And you know what? I've never had a competent AD at Florida in my lifetime, but my man who played hoops on that team that Bryce Drew beat at the buzzer, what's his name? Keith.
At Valpo?
Yeah, well, he's an Ole Miss AD right now, but he played on that team that got beat by Valpo at the buzzer. Keith, he's their AD now. I'm forgetting his name. Anyway, he does a hell of a job.
Keith Whitley. He drank himself to death. He was married to Lori Morgan.
Hey, he's got Lane Kiffin and Chris Beard as his coaching combo in Oxford, flipping Mississippi.
Yep. And the NCAA has set up a satellite office.